If you're one of those people that say that you would rather just not be here anymore if shit hit the fan or if there was some kind of like catastrophic collapse of our society, I get where you're coming from, but I'd like you to examine that with me for a few seconds here. Because it's your life we're talking about, and your life's valuable to somebody. The first thing I want you to ask yourself is the world we live in now really so great? And is your job or whatever really so great? Is how much you struggle versus how much you work really so great? Or is it just all you've ever known? Are there great things about this world? Sure, but I think that a lot of the problems really impact your life in ways you don't realize. And the other thing I want you to think about is that there's a lot of this doom and gloom around prepping. I mean, they literally call it doomsday prepping. I generally prefer emergency preparedness. And that's because, yeah, it's going to be rough for a while. But you know what? If you are prepared, and if you're prepared enough, you can be really comfortable through that. I know I will be. But have you ever seen Castaway with Tom Hanks? There's a quote from that movie that will always stick with me. He was trapped alone on that deserted island for years without the love of his life, all by himself, just talking to a volleyball. For him, his world did end. But when he got back to like the world and he was talking about it, somebody asked him, how did you get through all that? And he said, I realized that tomorrow the sun will rise. And however bad things get when all this falls apart, and it was always going to fall apart, it's not been sustainable for a long time. But however long that takes, whether it's a year or a few years, after that, inevitably, always, tomorrow the sun will rise. And so will those of us who were prepared enough to ride out those rough times and to maintain safety. Some of us will even maintain a lot of comfort. But the point I want you to leave here with is that after that, we have a chance that we'll never have if things continue with the status quo. We have a chance to build the world anew better. Maybe this world isn't worth saving, but the people in it certainly are. And that's what I try to do here to try to get people to be prepared to save them. So if you get prepared, the rough times won't be as bad. And when you come out of that, you might find yourself in a much more happy and fulfilling life. For tens of thousands of years before our modern society, people lived really happy lives. Not everybody, but there was happiness and fulfillment in a lot of people's lives, and there can be again in yours. Maybe you'll find without the Target and the Starbucks, and if you live a simpler kind of life, maybe that's a more meaningful life to you. Henry David Thoreau said he went to the woods to live deliberately. And in doing so, he found himself. Maybe you don't really understand or know how lost you may be right now, and that you need to be found. Maybe everything happens for a reason. Maybe all of this was to teach us something as a species, so we don't keep making the same mistakes. But right now, the power is so concentrated in the world that everyday people, we don't have the power to do anything about that. But because the system this power is set up has been so foolish and irresponsible, they're going to destroy themselves. And I ask you to stick around and not let them take you with them, because you are valuable. Your life is valuable. Stick around. Stay safe, friends.